Hello, we are back. Oh, she just faded out.
No, you caught me off guard. We were talking about something different, and he caught me off guard with that.
Back to the podcast. We are back, episode 86. How we are.
Is that 86? 86. No. 86.
86.
86. 86.
How you say that in Spanish?
86.
86.
Sí.
We are back in the building, episode 86. How y'all doing out there? Hope y'all doing good. I feel good. Hope she feel good. It's your boy, International Walk.
It's your girl, Tosh, the co-hostess with the mostest.
And we are back with another episode of A2TP, the podcast. If you're looking to catch the other episodes of A2TP, the podcast, you can catch us on A2ThePodcast.com. You can catch us on Facebook, Instagramming. You can catch us Google Podcasting. You can catch us YouTubing. You can catch us out in the public on the radio. You can catch us on TikTok. You can catch us on Breaker. You can catch us on Spotify. You can catch us on Anchor and tweeting on Twitter.
You caught me off guard with that. Catch us out in public.
Well, we out in public on the radio.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing well today. I feel pretty good. I feel good.
What's your mental? You notice we don't do the whole no, how are you thing no more. I used to like that.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She'd always be acting shady and shitty sometimes, so it would be like,
what?
Damn, that gave her attitude because I said no.
You know I don't like loud noise, but I liked it too because I knew I like to josh around with you. So I don't mind it, but I just don't. I like you to say no.
No.
Like
sometimes
real low.
I like a shout.
I don't like a shout. I'm doing good. Now I'm kind of like, is he gonna catch me off guard? No. Mentally, I'm an 8. I feel good. I don't have any, complaints. I'm an 8. I feel good.
Finances?
Finances are a 10. No complaints there.
I'm sorry. Did you want to elaborate on the 8 a little bit?
No, I feel good.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah, I'm chill. Finances are a 10. Work is an 8. It's busy. It's hectic. It's I'll just say this. Today, I had 4 meetings about the same thing. And I had to...
How can you not take yourself out of one of them?
I had to voice... I expressed, we need to do better time management. So instead of having, different segments of this process or of this project, y'all breaking it up into half-hour meetings throughout the day. Somebody just schedule an hour meeting and let's get all of this done. Literally, no exaggeration, 4 meetings about the same thing. Those kind of things in corporate America they annoy me. They annoy me and I don't like it. But I'm an 8. I have a job, I'm well paid. I'm not going to complain about it, but, they annoy me.
So work's an 8?
Work's an 8.
Physicality?
Physically.
What the body feel like?
I'm a 7.5. I could be better. I could do better. Going through some little things or whatever, but I'm going to work it out. And I've been praying and God got me. Nothing's wrong, but,
Because that's kind of vague, little things. What the fuck you mean?
Well, we talked about...
You imply something's wrong, and then you say something's not wrong the next sentence.
No, I'm saying God got me. That's why I said that, because I don't want to be send out prayers. No, nothing's wrong.
I'm dealing with little things, God got me, but nothing's wrong. 2 implications that something's wrong, and then nothing's wrong.
All right, well, we talked about my dizzy spell that I had when we came back from Colombia, and to be completely transparent, I've never felt normal since then. My head kind of feels like it's constantly in a fog. Any sudden movements, that dizziness comes on again. When we were in the car the other night, now I deal with bad motion sickness regardless. Riding in the car, I can't sit in the back. It makes me nauseous. I can't typically hold my head down. Something about my equilibrium, I guess, and being in forward motion. But it hit me real bad the other day when we was in the car. It just made me feel not good at all. So, that's kind of been on my mind and just wanting to, have a minute to relax. You start Google diagnosing and stuff. I asked my sister the other day, did she think I had malaria or something? But
think you should go to a neurologist?
Possibly. I'm no stranger to I'm not one of them people like, oh, I'll fix it myself. Like, I will go to the doctor. I just have to make time. And that sounds stupid because I need, like, that's easy to do, but I just need to do it because I don't want anything to be wrong and I don't think there's anything serious, but I don't want to assume. We ain't no medical professionals and my head just really hasn't been feeling 100%. So that's why I said 7.5. But you know, I'll make sure I'm okay. And my problem is, I'll tell the people this. I literally have just voiced this to him before we started recording because I hate to complain and I hate for him to worry about me.
But how is that complaining? Like, complaining is saying, like, the little scar on your knee is fucking hurting and I know it's a 1/2 inch and it just needs a Band-Aid. And you acting like you need stitches. That's complaining.
I know.
But saying I'm dizzy is alerting me that something is wrong with you.
Yeah,
Like,
I grew up in a household.
Be crazy and retarded about this.
Yeah, I grew up in a household with a parent who, anytime you talk to them, even current day, it's always, oh, how are you? My back hurt, my head hurt, this hurt. It's all, and I know I never wanted to be that person. So, and I know it's like, okay, one extreme to the other. Like, no, I don't want to be that person, but at the same time, I don't want to not tell you if I don't feel 100% myself. So it's just finding a balance in that. And I just, you know, if it's something wrong with me, I'm going to say, babe, like, something is wrong with me.
Yeah,
so,
but you can't say it out of nowhere. Like, I got to know what the fuck is going on. What you not just one random, yo, we need to leave here and go to the hospital. Like, I'm going to be like, what the fuck for? Like,
but
I didn't know you
stress
felt
about
like
me
this.
so much, and I don't be wanting to add that additional stress on you. So.
Do you want somebody in your life to not stress about you?
I do. I don't want you to stress about me. I want you to care about me, but I don't want you to stress about me.
Okay.
So that's a fine line there. So.
I'm glad you in control of my emotions. Jesus Christ.
How are you, baby?
No.
How are you?
That was like a half a shout. That was like a half a shout.
You don't shout like much louder than that often.
I'm okay. Mentally, I'm a 7.
Oh.
I could be better.
Do you care to elaborate?
Just a lot of shit on my mind. Yeah, just a lot of shit on my mind. Nothing bad. I don't, not like something about to happen or I'm about to break down, but I could just be a point up or, 2 points up.
Is there anything that you need from me?
Just be kind. Just be sweet. Don't be a pain in the ass. Don't be a ball breaker.
I think I can do that. I think I can not do those things. You know what I mean?
There we go.
No.
Not getting what I want.
No.
Finances, I would say is a 9. They're just a 9. I'm gonna leave it at that. Work, I would say, is a 7.
Wow.
Yeah, work's a 7. There might be some stuff going down at work. Physicality.
Well, wait. No, let's not just skip over that.
Because the work ties into the wows and woes, so that's why I'm skipping over it. So physicality, I am a 8.
So
I wrote down 7. No, I wrote you down for a 7.5, but I'm an 8.
So you're a 7, 9, 7, 8.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you want to start with your wows and woes?
Wows and woes. My wow is just that I made it another week. There was a real stressful week at work, and I powered through. I had my affirmations in the morning. That really, really helped set the tone of the day, and I powered through. So that's what I'm a wow about that.
I'm proud of you for doing that. Yep. I'm here for if you need to vent.
But I had some serious adversity at work this week.
Serious adversity. Do you care to elaborate?
Yeah. What's your wows and woes?
Okay.
No, that was my wow. My woe is that Darren might be done. Yeah, he might be done because.
Did you want to say his name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of people at work don't want to work with him, and my jobs have been going well, and it's kind of, tearing at my heartstrings because it's like, I hate the way him and my other friend argue, and having them back would be kind of detrimental to the situation. But at the same time, I don't want to see him lose his job. So I'm struggling with that right now.
It's you mentioned that, and it kind of makes me think about something that I talked talked in my head about a little, that I thought about. I'm saying talked in my head that I thought about. People don't realize how far your attitude goes. Mm-hmm. No matter how good of a job, and I'm gonna say this because I ain't gonna say no names, and I don't think they watch, and it doesn't matter because I'm not saying no names. There's someone that I work with who, over the last few years, they constantly tell me, I might be getting a new position. I applied for this position. I'm interviewing for this position. I'm going to be changing departments. And they're like, oh, I know this person in this department. Oh, I used to work with this person, so I'm good. Or they're going to get me in. No exaggeration. Over the last 3 years, it's probably been like 5 or 6 jobs. I'm gonna say 4 or 5 jobs. They haven't gotten any of them. And I know this person is very knowledgeable about their job, but I know they don't have a good attitude. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize how far that goes. No matter how good you are, nobody wants to work with somebody that's going to be difficult. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the know-it-all, or feel like that, they only want to do the bare minimum, or they want to come in changing things, or they're going to disrupt, the flow of the current work team, mm-hmm. the morale of the team. So we learned this as kids. I think most people did. Your attitude determines your altitude. No matter how much you know.
Well, not as a kid. You didn't know what altitude was.
Well, pretty young, you learned it.
Yeah.
No, but somebody would rather work with somebody who didn't know as much but was teachable and had a great attitude than somebody that had all the skills in the world.
And was ornery as shit.
Yeah.
Like, you never know what you was getting every day. And that's the struggle. It's like, I love him as a friend, but I'm looking back and I just completed 3 whole jobs, and everybody's getting along, everybody's working hard, everybody's morale is up, everybody had vacations, everybody's great. And it's like, if I do that, then I know in 2 or 3 days it'll be like, why are you sad? Because he's beating up on you again, like mm-hmm. verbally, and it's just like I don't need that shit. I need peace in my day when I go to work. I deal with enough phone calls and emails and deadlines that I don't need the extra headache. I just don't. I don't need the extra headache, but I do care, and I do want to help. But at the same time, not to my detriment, not to my peace. I don't want to help that much.
Yeah, and to see you struggle with this, I know how much you care. Let me say, I know how much you don't care about a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So when I see you care about somebody or something, I know that you really care, because it ain't a lot of people that you would be feeling like emotional, or a lot of situations that you will allow yourself to be emotionally invested in. So I know that you genuinely care to see, this bothering you and this being a struggle.
I just don't know if I can help in that way. And I don't know which way I can help, but I'm not, interrupting another friend's peace and my peace just to, end up going down the same road again. And it's a shame, but it's just been better.
One of the things that I was talking about with somebody that I love in a different scenario, there are certain things about people that are character driven that's a part of their makeup. And unfortunately, no matter what you want for somebody, the best that you want for them, how much you want to help them change and get better, it's really hard to change the fabric of who someone is, mm-hmm. especially once they're of a certain age. Because it's kind of like, as you're growing up, people are weaving that pattern into your life and helping you to become who you are.
Right.
Well, once that pattern is woven to a certain extent, it's pretty hard to take out some threads and replace them with other threads. You know what I mean? So it's, it's some situations are circumstantial, and people may be acting or reacting or moving in a certain way because of those circumstances. Some situations, again, it's just your character, and regardless of the circumstances, you are who you are. You was who you was before you got here.
Yeah, you could try to change, but that's just the top layer. Starting off, we touched on this subject before. Being a young boy growing up without a dad, and this season, as we see on social media and things like that. Let me take a drink of water.
Mm-hmm. Well, while you take a drink of water, I'll just say really quickly, my wows.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I just didn't want to have any dead air, so I figured I would fill it in. I'll just say this. I know therapy isn't for everyone, or maybe not at every time therapy is a good thing. We individually and collectively as a unit, seek therapy services. And for me, my wow is just really seeing or feeling the evolution within myself through therapy. Thinking you know yourself, you at a certain age, you like, I know me, I am who I am. But seeing those layers being peeled back and still having new revelations about yourself, they can hurt sometimes. And they can be like, oh, somebody touched a sore spot, but I'm enjoying my growth. So I just want to, one thing I don't do often is pat myself on the back. And I recognize I'm the shit, and I just want to give myself props. And that is my wow, just feeling myself, and all of my awesomeness. So
we ain't gonna be able to get a fucking head through the door when we leave this room.
He's always telling me how amazing I am, and not that I've never believed it, but I think we learn to love when people talk that whole self-love thing, we learn to love ourselves in the capacity that we've been shown love. From my husband, the amount of love that I'm shown is immense. And we've been together for a long time, like more than half my life now. Or just about, more than half my life now. But still trying to, break away or learn differently from what you've been taught in your more formative years. That's a hard process. You can say, oh yeah, I love myself, but if you only been taught that this what love is, then that's the capacity you love yourself to. Mm-hmm. When you're taught this is how much love you can have for yourself, now you have to grow into filling those spaces. So it just feels good. That was my wow. I have no woes. I'm grateful. I'm just extremely grateful. That's it.
Yeah, so, I got that straight.
Boys, no dads.
So being little boys, growing up with no fathers, we touched on that in a previous episode, but we never really got into depth about it. Mm-hmm. And this season on social media and in people's lives is kids are going to school, back to school, and you see a lot of people posting their kids and first timers to kindergarten, first timers to high school, and all that's great. And specifically, we're talking about boys. Not that we can't mention girls, but specifically we're talking about boys. But we got a new crop of kids at a young age. We have nephews and we have younger kids in our family who are starting kindergarten, and then we have younger. We have boys in our family that's going to manhood and already graduated, and just the dynamic between what that looks like at 5 and when they're going to kindergarten versus what it looks like when they graduate, and also the dynamic of one having his father and one not. Mm. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So, in looking back in retrospect when we was having that conversation, what about the young kids now just starting to be around boys and kindergarten and other kids, but not really being molded in a way, like in a stern way from a male figure?
Yeah, so I don't, you use the word stern, and I don't even think that that's the most imperative piece of the puzzle, because you have some mothers that can be stern, but it's just those I don't want to repeat the same word, but I will, those formative years of a child where having that role in your life is important, because although, as I said, mothers can be stern, mothers can impose a certain level of love and discipline, it's different coming from a dad. It's coming from somebody that looks like you, a bigger version, of course, but looks like you, moves like you, has a different touch and tone and feel and vibe than a mom, in most cases.
Than a woman. You have to be taught that as a boy. Even at 5, if you are a boy and you have 4 sisters and you grow up, you have your boy traits in you as a boy, because that's your gender, but you have female tendencies in you. You grew up with sisters. That's not a knock at you, but you have female tendencies in you. And as a dad, you create that time with your son to show him how to be with other boys, how to be with men. And that shit starts from a young age, like a real young age. So when you get to school and you're around other kids, you're not abusive to other kids. You're not abusive to the teacher. You're not, out of pocket where you got to get calls up to the school just because it's like a culture shock to you.
Right. And I think too, I know
Do you remember being that way in kindergarten? Was it a culture shock to you? Like, oh my God, I'm left here by myself and these kids are strangers.
No, I have I have some very vivid memories of kindergarten. I remember my teacher, exactly what she looks like, what she looked like. Her name was Miss Sloan. I can kind of remember what the classroom looks like, and I can remember a few kids' faces, but I didn't feel like, oh, I was left here. I even have memories. I even have memories of preschool, which is just so weird. But
I know you went
to preschool. Yeah, I went to what turned to be a high school, like when we got older, but the Randolph Skills Center. Because I used to live in Abbotsford Project, so Randolph Skills Center was right across the street. I went there. That's where I learned I hate raisins, I hate celery, and I hate raw carrots. They gave us those as snacks, and to this day, it makes me sick thinking about any of them.
Wow.
Yes, I vividly remember having those, and then what's the like pudding or something that has raisins in it, and then when they mix the raisins with the carrots in that salad.
I don't know. I didn't eat school lunch, so I didn't have those fears and those things I just didn't eat school lunch. And if it
but I mean, I'm talking about pre-K. This was like 3 years old.
Oh, well, you don't have a choice. You just like eat.
No,
this.
I didn't. That's what I like. I can vividly remember like it's sitting in front of me and me crying like I don't like this. And to this day, anybody that knows me know I will not eat, especially a raisin. I digress. What I will say is I think one of the mothers, we know you have single mothers that have done an awesome job at raising children, but no matter how great of a mother you are, I don't know what the experience is like in being a boy, let alone growing into a man. So there is an integral piece that's missing. You can do a marvelous job of raising a son. It's still, I feel like there's going to be something missing that is
you raised
needed.
A child, you didn't raise a man. Like you raised a child, and you should get credit for that, but you didn't raise a man. Like only a man can raise a man. And as far back as I can remember, we both have nephews who are in kindergarten, and we have nephews who are graduated. And the dynamic of one having his father and one not, like, do you clearly see the dynamic in them at all? As you've been in their lives the whole time they've been alive, like, do you clearly see a difference, a shift, like when you take one back to that age?
So there's a huge difference between both of those. Some may be personality driven, and then also you thinking one being the only child would at that age, or probably had one sibling at that age, and then one being the youngest of multiple siblings.
It's a different
dynamic. A different dynamic, a different circumstance. But I think, and also just a different culture today, where like kids are being taught through other means. Like YouTube is such a huge part of children's upbringing now.
It's school.
No matter how much parents want to avoid it. I'm not saying it's impossible. You can just not let them have a tablet, but it's they can watch it on TV, but it's such a huge part of their upbringing. So I think it's a different dynamic, but yes, it does. It is, and I know it can be different depending on who the other parent is, who the mother is, but there is a different level of this might sound weird, but a different level of wholesomeness that you kind of feel that a child has. I always feel, and this just may be none of the kids in our lives have ever expressed this, but I always feel there's like a void, and it may just be me. It just may be me imposing my internal thoughts, projecting, those feelings, because I know it's something missing, in some of their lives, like something in terms of a person.
That's not projection though, because it is something missing. Like
right.
Again,
but I don't know if they feel like that, but I feel like they feel like that.
You do feel like that.
Okay.
You do feel like that. As a little boy, you do notice that your pop isn't around. Like, because again, you have female tendencies and you always around your mom or your sisters or something like that. So you do feel as though damn. And then when you go to school and you see other dads, it's like it hits you in the face that I don't have that. So you do feel that. And I think as a boy, you don't need to be catered to in a way where it's like you need therapy at 5 years old. But I remember back, I just wish that a man was in my life to ask me how I felt. Because like that was the biggest thing for me. Like nobody ever asked me like, how did you feel? Okay. Even about school or how my day was or anything like that. It's like what I thought didn't matter or what I felt didn't matter. So to have somebody say, you know, this is how you're supposed to move, or you know, you in a group with boys, like it's just a certain things that a dad does or a man can do to show you how to move amongst males that your mom can't. Because again, if you're a boy who grew up with sisters and you got female tendencies, when you get to the schoolyard and you got 10 friends, those tendencies are going to come out. Those boys are going to call you on that, and it's a slippery slope. But you need that male figure in your life to like, it's like at that age, like you said, your formative years, to like, and it sounds weird to say, but to make you male.
Yeah, but
lack of a better term, it's like to show you how to be a man, starting from that age.
I mean, so I feel like in this scenario, you know, just I was gonna say speaking from personal experience, but through the kids in our lives, and I don't know whether it's because there is a male figure there in an older sibling, because I think that the 5-year-old in our life is 1000% boy, like to the point where I don't know if it's some aggression from, you know, just natural aggression being a boy, or it's just like, you know, I don't know what those feelings are, but I do think that it's a different approach that comes from having a dad. Like you mentioned, I know you mentioned even girls. Yes, I think a dad is important in all children's lives, but they play a different role. So it's equally important for both boys and girls to have their dads, but that boy, and not even but that boy having a dad, it really is instrumental in, like you said,
if I don't have a picture of what I should be, then I don't know.
And
my
you
dad is
figure
supposed to be my hero. He's supposed to be the guy who shows me that.
Right.
So if I don't have something to emulate, then I don't know what these feelings are. I don't know what's going on inside me as I'm changing from 5 to 10 to 15 or whatever. So I don't know what's going on inside me, but your dad does. He once was that age.
So let me ask you, how did you, I mean, I know, you know, you're talking about from being a kid to now you're 45. So what were the things or people? Was it real life people? Was it TV images? Was it like, what were the things that you held on to or that you grabbed onto, latched onto, that helped you through those developmental stages?
It's crazy because I was impressionable because I'm young. So it was a lot of who was in the streets and emulate that. And you see the cool kids in the street, the cool guys in the street, the guys with the money, the guys with the cars, the guys that's getting the girls, all that kind of stuff was what you emulated because everybody respected those guys. Those are the guys that came outside, had on the nice clothes, and was respected. So you thought that's what a man was. And, you know, he had a nice girl and all this money and things like that's all we saw was, you know, the drug dealers. So we looked up to them because none of us had dads.
Right. So, I mean, I'm assuming that was probably around your early teen years. But what, like, leading up to that point, before you hit the teen years, what were the examples of manhood that you latched onto? Like at 5 years old, at 8 years old, at 10 years old?
Well, at 5 years old, it was...
was it even a thought?
There was still a male figure in my life at 5 years old.
Okay.
So, that wasn't my dad.
Okay.
So I would latch on to that. I mean, I'm trying to think back now. TV. I wanted to be around my older brother a lot. Yeah, but just that. I mean, a lot of stuff I want. I've been in a lot of situations as a kid where I've been around boys and didn't know how to act. And I don't mean that in like a girlish way, but just now when you think back, it's like, damn, you had to learn that lesson or have a fight or something like that because this is not how you act around boys.
Well, so just elaborate. Do you mean like you were aggressive, you were timid? What
I could
was
have
it?
been too talkative, too jovial,
Okay.
too like not being able to read the room, read the situation, have an instinct like a man. Like all those things you get from your dad. All those things you get from a male figure in your life when you're young. And when you don't have that at 5, you don't know what those feelings are. You don't know who to go to. And, I had a mom, but it wasn't like she asked me how I felt about things or, what's going on in your life. What was that situation you went through? How'd you feel about that? Like, you're not getting none of that. So you don't get it out and you don't know what it is. So you just deal with it the way you know how to deal with it. But I didn't have a real male figure in my life until my teenage years.
Okay.
Yeah. So all through my younger years, it was like, okay, nah, I don't. I'm just outside and I'm just growing up as a boy.
Okay. Wow. So how do you think what options are there to bridge the gap? Because in some scenarios, like the mom just may not find a man or a stepdad, and while yes, we know there may be some figures in the community that may be able to step in, I don't think that's really happening a lot in today's society. When we were younger, we had like the POW Center where kids would go to, but that was shady too in some cases. Like the cop that was in the POW Center around our neighborhood was messing with the young girls,
Yeah.
like young girls, like girls 13, 14 was messing with the cop. But and again,
And
even
when we was young, it seemed like the cop was like 40 or 50, but he was like 28, 29, 30.
yeah, because I definitely thought he
He
was
wasn't
like
old,
40.
yeah.
And then you think even today, even if there is an officer that's in settings like that, they just may not be able to have the outreach to a multitude of young men. So what is like, why aren't there, you being a black man 45 years old, knowing that it's this void in our community, and I'm not putting this on you per se, but why aren't there more programs geared towards mentorship and helping to bridge this gap?
I don't know why there's not more, but we need more. Men should be around men. And that's how, and when I say that, I mean that, and I don't have this, is what I'm about to describe. I don't have this in my life, but I wish I did. But men should be around men. Men should have, you're a man in the center of your life. You should have a man in front of you that you look up to, that pours into you. You should have a man behind you as you being a mentor that you can pour into him, and you should have men on the side of you that you live life with. And like every man should be the nucleus of that. And if you don't have that, it seems like you're imbalanced. But men should be around men. Like that's I think that would be the perfect, calm, even dynamic between men and women. So I don't know why there's not more mentors and stuff like that. Even that's a little bit shady because it's big brother programs and shit like that, but people don't really pour into stuff like that. You get a little homie off the street and that's who you mentee. You don't like sign up for a program and get somebody from there or get somebody from a foster care home or something like that. Guys just don't do that. You have a friend, you see he needs help, and you mentor him, and that's how it is with mentorship. That's how it is with the quote unquote big homie.
And so is that something that you think, and I'm not like, this isn't like, hey, we're introducing the mentor program, but I'm just asking because while there's a need, you may recognize there's a need, but not everyone really has the desire to do that. Is that something that you think like you could see? And again, I'm not saying this is like tomorrow you're signing up, but is that something that you feel like would be in you to serve in that capacity?
I think I probably could because I have a story, and I think my story could help somebody, but I don't think I'm ready for that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm still finding out who I am and what I like and who Walter is. So I don't think that I'm too raw.
Oh,
I'm too raw.
Okay,
And I
so
don't mean that like I'm too raw. Like
no,
I got the
your
real
wounds
shit.
is
Yeah,
too raw.
I'm too raw to to do that. Like I need to finish my healing process, find out who I am, and when I'm standing firm, then I can pour into somebody.
I'm gonna share something with you when we done this episode, and if y'all would like, I can share it with you too. But I think exactly what you said may be the reason, and again, not direct blame on you, but the reason why there isn't more, because a lot of people feel like that, like I'm not where I need to be before I help somebody else. But at the same time, you think, if you really think about it, them seeing you go through those phases could be the instrument that God intended to help them to go through whatever they are going through or will go through in the future. And I understand, I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling that way, because a lot of people, I've had desires to do things in terms of helping helping victims, or I don't want to say victims, I'm sorry, I never want to say victims, survivors of sexual abuse, to help them in that capacity. I asked myself 9 million questions about the what ifs. And it's like, girl, you ain't even talked to one person yet. And you're thinking about, well, what if this happened? What if they say this? And it's almost like making excuses to block myself. So I'm not saying that's wrong. I think, just like myself, a lot of people think in that way. But what I thought you were going to say, which I'm curious about, do you think the community is ready for that? Do you think the young males in this generation, and I'm not talking about the 5-year-olds, because they will probably go towards whatever their parents direct them to, but those who can make the decision.
Any kid that's still moving when you talk to them is too young. Yeah. Like a kid has to stand there and look at you and pay attention.
Right.
The kid is fucking doing this and you're talking to him, he's too young.
But I think being in an environment, it's still, it's almost like one of them things when you grow up, and I know we talked about this, you're not, thinking kids should be made to go to church, but it's one of them things where even if you don't understand, you just going to church every Sunday and being in that environment, it does still have an impact on you. And so that when you do get to the point to be able to pay attention, it's like, this isn't a strange environment. So do you think, let's just say boys 12 and up in today's society, that's something that they want, or that they're ready, or that they would grab hold to?
I mean, I think I'm not going to condemn all of them, but this generation is just different. They have a short attention span, and they don't have a lot of respect for the older generation. They think outside the box. They're smarter than we were technically at the age that they're at, and they think they know a lot. And to be honest with you, they do know a lot, but they don't know common sense and life and stuff like that. But it's weird, because like you want to do something, like you said, you wanted to help young girls and stuff like that. Like you want to do stuff like that, but I don't know what it is. It's like a fear you create inside yourself. Like, damn, like, and it's crazy, because it makes me think, like, do I have a story? Like, is my story worthy enough? Like, is somebody gonna be looking at me like with my head shot? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
But a lot of people you talk to, they be like, yo, you could write a book, or your story is great. And it's like, okay, like, are you saying that because you know me, or are you saying that because it really is? Like,
and we kind of talked about this in a different capacity. I think it's because it's your life, and you have yet to step outside of it and look back and think, if you line up 10 men who went through the same life, how many of them would be where you are today, having been subject to the exact same circumstances? So you put these 10 men in the same situation in 1999 that you had, it was 1999, right? In 1999 that you had to endure through 2020, what would be the outcome in 2022? I think, I'm going to say out of 10, I'm going to say maybe, and this is just me, y'all might not agree, I'm going to say maybe 2. And that's pushing. I'm being generous, because I really think 1 and maybe none. But I'm going to just be generous and say maybe 2 might be standing here with you today, maybe with more wounds, maybe with less wounds. And I'm talking about mental, emotional wounds, and maybe somebody have physical wounds. but there ain't many people that could have done and lived the life that you lived, but you don't recognize it because you feel like I was just on go. I was just doing what I had to do to survive. Like, this wasn't nothing spectacular because you have yet to step out of that and look back. You know, because you did it and you was there. But to talk to for other people to understand, I mean, I was here with you.
Right.
And while I understand the gravity, and I probably understand why most people don't, because they don't know all the, and we've talked about it, but talking about it and hearing about it and really living it is two different things. But even me being with you side by side, I still wasn't in your body to know what that felt like. So yeah, I do think you have a story, but I understand why, you might feel like, oh, it ain't as major as the guy that got shot 19 times and had his kidney taken out and half his brain blown off, and now he's a lawyer. Like, just because
makes you want to shut up about your story.
Exactly. And I have felt like that in some parallel ways about my life. About several things about my life, and that's why it takes that moment. Not that I need accolades or need a pat on the back, but you think to yourself, "Damn, I did that. Like, I survived that." So
yeah, but it's like you think, like, who didn't grow up without a dad? Like, look where we come from. Like, all the boys my age grew up without dads. All the boys my age got in trouble with the law. Like, it's the same.
But let me tell you this, and I'm sorry, I had an aha moment.
Okay.
Because
sometimes let me get my shit out.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The aha moment was that normal, or did we just normalize the abnormal? We normalized the dysfunction.
But that's in hindsight, yeah.
Right.
When you were living it, it's normal. Because I come outside every day, and the 26 people that I hang with, 24 of us don't have dads. So that's normal because that's all I know. Hindsight, sitting back, yeah, we normalize the dysfunction. We normalize the abnormal.
Right.
But this also ties into my what have you learned, and when we get to that, I hope you learned something this week.
I did.
That Nick Cannon's situation, like, kids need time, and it doesn't matter how much money you may have. And I know a lot of people feel this way. A lot of people don't, but it's like, I think that's a problem when you have kids all over the place like that. I think that's a dynamic on why kids grow up the way that they do and not having a male figure in the home. Like, you can have the money to support 10 kids, but you can't you're one person. You can't give 10 kids the time that they need from you.
Wait, so I'm okay. When you said that, it made me think to myself, you're saying 10 kids, the number, the volume of children that he has. But is it the circumstances or the scenarios in which these children have been created? Because what if he had a wife and they have 10 kids?
No, but you can hear, okay, so you can say a person like DJ Envy who can say, I have 6 kids that all live in my house, and it's difficult for me to spread time around 6 kids who live under the same roof. How is it any better to spread time around for 10 kids who don't live under the same roof?
So I think that's why I was saying, because you were quantifying it. I think it's more the scenario, because even if it was just 5 kids with 5 different baby moms, no matter how well you financially provide for them, is that a circumstance that is beneficial for the kids in the long run? And
we're sitting here talking about the formative years. We all know, and that's the whole conversation. The formative years that's not about money. That's not about what you can provide. That's not about the shit that stuff doesn't matter. The kid wants to go to the park, shoot ball, ask him how he's doing, talk to him, read books. Like, that's the shit you can't get back, is the time. So just because you can provide that iPad or those books and all the shit he needs and the basketballs and courts, you're not there to shoot with him. You're not there to play with him when he wants you to, or when she wants you to. So it's difficult. And that's a part of the whole situation where kids are growing up with no dads, because it's not a lot of people out here it is a lot of people out here with 10 kids, 15 kids, and 8 baby moms and shit like.
Oh, you mean men? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought when you said people, and I'm thinking I ain't know there's a lot of chicks out here dropping 15 babies.
Yeah, I mean, and they're not all by the same woman, of course. That's like the 40 stuff.
Right. That's why I paused. Like
that's like the 40 stuff, but it's a lot of dudes out here with a lot of baby moms, a lot of kids, and it's a crazy dynamic because it just perpetuates the cycle for us to grow up without our dads in the house. And that's how our generation grew up. Like, our dads was not well, your dad was in the house, but my dad was not in the house.
Yeah. So I seen a clip today by I think her name is Candace Owens. And she was talking about how the government, this plan that they have to divide Black families, and although she is a Trump supporter, I think it would be prudent for people to take a moment to step back outside of her politics as it relates to Trump and listen to some of the messages, because I agree with some of the rhetoric that I hear her talk, because when you think about the divide of, I'm just going to say Black families, and I know I know from a professional standpoint that it is not just Black families who are beneficiaries of the welfare system in the government. But when we think back to I'm gonna say the 70s, because I don't know if it was the 60s. When we think about the rules and parameters that were placed around these programs that were designed to help us, the help was allotted for women, excluding the males from the home. So you could get this public assistance, but you can't make too much money. And if you have a 2-parent home, not making too much money with 2 people, you got to be really poor. It's one thing to say, okay, I'm a single mom and I got 3 kids. Okay, and my income limit is not above the guideline. But now I'm a mom and dad with 3 kids. Oh, you want us to be poor in order to qualify. And in most cases, you didn't qualify because, again, in a 2-parent home, how would that work? I mean, again, unless, whatever. Y'all get what I'm saying. The same applied when it came to like the Section 8 housing. Here's another program designed where you got women having to hide and say, oh, don't live here, or, we're not going to live together because I don't want that to affect my lease or affect my housing. Programs designed to help. But look what it's proliferating, that dynamic of
break up the home.
Right. Yeah. Where, and not to say anybody was forced not to have a man in order to benefit from these programs, but why wasn't it a mindset to design programs to say, if you are a 2-parent home, we're going to help you buy a home. If you
that substantiates, that's a different conversation we're going into, but that what you just described substantiates not wanting Black families to exist and keeping the white race in power, because they wasn't doing that for white people, and more white people was on welfare than anything, and they were families on welfare. So I don't even know how that worked over there on that side, where those moms could have dads and they still was on welfare. There was men in those houses, but here living in the projects in urban neighborhoods, couldn't have no male there. He come in 2-3 times a week. That's it. But otherwise, he just was outside.
And not to be facetious, but look at James Evans. Look at the hard time they was living in the projects. Look at how hard of a life.
He pulled on James Evans.
Look how hard of a life he had. He could not catch a break as a Black man. But there you go, a 2-parent home. But look at the dynamic that was created. You had to be struggling like that in order for them to say, okay, you can have this public housing. Other than that, it's like, oh no, like you're making too much money. And then the what they consider like the federal poverty limits. You think to yourself, y'all really want me to be eating breadcrumbs?
Yeah, this is a question I saw is somebody was offered a job. It might have been Wawa or McDonald's or Walmart or something, and it was $20 an hour, full benefits. And the question is that enough?
It's circumstantial. Is it enough for who? Is it enough for a mom with 3 kids? We look at... Is
it enough for a mom with 1 kid?
Possibly, depending on what her living situation is.
Well, you got to have housing, adequate housing. I mean, you don't got to have the best, but you got to have just. Let's just think of the range of adequate housing now.
Right.
So there's no more houses you can rent for $300 a month.
Yeah,
So I'm just saying, you need adequate housing, you need food, you need clothes, you need the bare necessities first.
Right, but I'm just saying, okay, if you don't have a car, you take public transportation, then that saves some money there. Is it enough? No, probably not. Can you make it work? Possibly, but it's a struggle.
Right.
It's a struggle. You figure, okay, $20 an hour. Let's say you work for $1,600. Let's say if you get paid every 2 weeks, $80. Then you talk about you got to take your 33% taxes off the top of that. So now you talking about
you got $1,200.
Yeah. So now it's looking like, what's my rent? Where's food coming from? So is it enough not to live comfortably? And I'm not even talking about living luxuriously, but not to live and that's just with one child. Hell, that's even by yourself. It's probably going to be a struggle. So I mean, the sad part about it is, as some wages have gone up. I mean, for Wawa to be paying $20 an hour is not a little bit of money, considering when we talk about minimum wage and so forth. But you have to look at what is the demographic of the people working at Wawa. Mm-hmm. Or, you look at a Taco Bell that's paying $15 an hour. Is that enough for a grown woman to work, or a grown man to work and provide for his family? No. But are those jobs designed for the grown working adult to have long term?
I don't know. A lot of the people work there are grown.
I mean, grown in the sense of being, 35 with 2 kids.
Right.
Or is it designed for the 17-year-old who's working there in the summer and then a few hours after school during the school year? So, this is no shade.
Is it designed for a 21-year-old who's single, who's fresh out of school?
Right. And no shade to anybody that works there, because let me tell you, and I tell my husband this all the time, God forbid something happened and we needed to make ends meet. I'm going to be working from 6 to 2 at the supermarket, then from 2 to 10 at Wawa, and then I might be working somewhere from 10 to 6 stocking shelves after hours. Like, I would work wherever to make ends meet if it was necessary and I couldn't find, a different type of job. So I'm not knocking anybody for getting a job, but we do have to look at, is it like you starting with your feet in the sand to begin with?
Just like the whole America, just like the start of America was, like everybody, all us, black and brown people, just behind a little bit.
Yeah.
You gotta do a little extra. But we're getting off the topic. You growing up as a little girl, you didn't have the best father, but you had a dad in the house. Mm-hmm. But what was the dynamic? And did you have friends that didn't have dads? Did you notice that in other little girls, like a difference in y'all? Like, because we talked about earlier, the boys lean on their dads for different reasons than the girls do. So I'm leaning on my dad for show me how to be a man, give me something to emulate. You don't do that as a girl. You kind of do that with your mom. So is it the only thing you want from your dad is how to relate to boys? Or is there something bigger there?
I mean, at that age, you don't even think about it. You just think, this is my dad. And I didn't have the best dad, but I didn't know that until I was older.
Right.
Because that was the only dad I knew. And you're right, I didn't know many other people that had dads. The crazy thing, I thought like people who didn't have dads girls who didn't have dads had a better life, because my dad was so strict, and I felt like if he wasn't here, I would be able to do X, Y, Z. I did recognize, like in my teenage years, like even though I wanted to do X, Y, Z, that if he wasn't there and I was able to do those things, I would have been in way more trouble than I found myself being in. Mm-hmm. So did I find it different? I mean, yes and no, but not worse or better. I mean, it's like in some situations, again, I found that girls had more freedom, and some it got them in trouble, some didn't. Like they had moms, they only had moms, they still did what they were supposed to do. I think
but you have that to see though. You see the difference in gender, like you have that to look at, so it will work out better with just a mom and daughter.
I mean, but I think a dad, it doesn't mean, and I'm
like
just saying,
you're only going to get to a certain point with a mom and son. Like you can show your daughter how to be a woman all the way through.
Right, but those dads, I think, were still necessary for other reasons in their life. but it wasn't something that was noticeable at that time. Not until I became an adult to look back on it. As far as looking at your dad as, how to interact with boys, you don't realize like it's really being impressed upon you through your years, but it's one of them things you're living it so you don't realize it.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. You don't notice that I'm getting how to talk to this boy at school through my dad. You don't get that when you're that young?
I mean, in hindsight, I probably, yes and no.
If you have a cool dad.
I can, because I think to myself, if I had a dad who was very doting on my mom, bringing her flowers, loving on her, I probably would have been looking to have those things. I probably would have been looking to have those things, but and in the reverse, what I can say is by not seeing those things, it made me want those things.
What if he didn't do those things, but he just was the cool dad to sit you down and be like, yo, this is, these motherfucking boys at school gonna be liking you. This is how you move. This is what you do. Would that be accepted even though you didn't see him be affectionate to your mom?
I think action speaks louder than words.
Right. Okay.
Like, I think we learn more about what we see people do than what they tell us. Because even when we don't realize it, those images and those, what we see in life, those memories and experiences are what stick with us longer than the yapping and the talking. It's like, okay, you telling me A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but at the same time you doing X, Y, Z. So it's not matching up. So I think you can either learn from your parents by emulating what they did or wanting what they didn't show you. And for me, I think that's what it was.
Growing up with a bad dad or growing up with no dad, what do you think in hindsight is the better dynamic?
I would say that's hard, but I would say I would have, I wouldn't change anything.
He was there, but he was terrible. Gave you no attention, just was terrible dad, but he was there every day. Or would you be like, the dynamic of no dad was better because I saw him be shit?
I mean, I wouldn't change anything about my life because it made me who I am today. But if I had to start with a clean slate, I would choose no dad than have a bad dad.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that would be my choice.
Learning in therapy, it's weird that you say that because when you learn in therapy, it's like you wonder about your past and things like that and with the stuff that you went through and you ask yourself why. But it's like if you're happy with who you are sitting here or who you are today, then it's almost like I needed that to happen to me for me to be who I am today. As fucked up as it may sound, because a lot of us have a lot of fucked up things that happen to us in our lives, but it's almost like that's what you sit with at the end of the day, is that I needed to be that for 23 years. You needed the things to happen to you in order for you to be this Natasha that you're sitting here today. Right. And in hindsight, you're like, but no, like I could have learned a different way, but no, like we both needed to go through what we went through to have the history that we have so we can have the future that we have. So
I feel like something is just like pulling at my heartstrings, and I have to say this, right? Because what you said is exactly, it's a blessing to have people and loved ones in your life who help you in your growth, period. Whether it's professional growth, emotional growth, spiritual growth. But what you said relates to something that was shared with me by my sis Toya, and it's a sermon. I know, again, we always say this isn't a religious show, but y'all know what our spiritual beliefs are.
But you're not about to play a sermon, though.
No, I'm not about to play it. I can't remember the man's name, so I want to tell y'all his name in case you want to look it up. But it's titled The Ripple Effect, and it speaks to exactly what you're saying. Keon Henderson, that's his name. I couldn't think of it. Pastor Keon Henderson, Keion. If you want to look it up, it's called The Ripple Effect, and it speaks to exactly what you said. That wave of life, and I mean, it's not like it's a phenomenon that we haven't heard of before. The butterfly effect, exactly, or what our therapist has said to us. It had to happen that way. Yeah. Some other people might say, "Oh, everything happens for a reason." It all relates to the same ideology.
And in therapy, you're taught to say the words. So if you have to say the words of I had to rob that, or I had to do that for me to be who I am, or this person had to be molested for them to be who they are. It sounds weird saying it out loud because it's like, no, but in essence, if you're happy with who you are, sitting where you are right now, then yeah, that stuff had to happen.
Yep.
Your life had to be that way in order for you to wake up and be who you are and like who you are today. If anything would have been different, the ripple effect.
Right. When you think about
everything.
Exactly, when you think about when you're on the beach and the waves that wash up on the sand, that wave that's coming across your feet, you know how far back it started.
Don't poke me in the eye.
Sorry, how far back it started, where, you know, it may have just been a small wave. It might have got a push from a boat over there and got caught in the wake and was a bigger wave. Somebody might have came along and swam through it, that divided it, and then it brought it back together. But that wave went through a lot, and that ripple effect, for it to hit the sand and be what it is, it had to happen that way in order for you to be where you are, in order for me to be where I am, in order for this moment to occur. Yeah. It had to happen that way.
And it's weird because
you try to change any of that, then who knows what you would be, or where you would be, or why you would be.
And you think about those moments in your life. Like, I grew up without a dad. Like, though I had some tough moments in my life, but it's like, okay, what if I would have had a dad? Would I like who I am today? Would I like the person that I am, that I turned out to be? I don't know. Like, right. I don't know what my trajectory in life would have been if I would have grew up with a father in the house every day. I don't know. Like, I could have went to college. Who knows? Like, what would have happened in my life? But everything that did made me who I am today, and I fucking love Walter.
And the thing about it is, no matter all those what ifs, at this moment, it ain't nothing we can do to change any of that.
Nope.
So I'm not gonna say it's no point in thinking about it. Of course, we're human, we're gonna think of it, but we can't stress about it and really put too much energy into thinking about what coulda, woulda, shoulda happened, or coulda, woulda been, because it wasn't. It ain't. But what we can do, as we go back to the current dynamics of situations, whether it's boys that we love, boys that we know, boys that are just in the community, is how to find a way to be part of their ripple effect to help possibly change the trajectory of their life. And that's not to say, because they don't have a dad, they're headed down the wrong path. But who knows what the outcome could be if they have the positive influence, if they know about your story, if they know about how you overcame the things that you did, how you survived the things that you did. So I think it's important that people like yourself use your stories, use your strengths, use your weaknesses, or your areas of opportunity to help others see, especially those who may possibly be headed down the same direction, or may not even be near that direction, but can still learn. It could be somebody who's on their way to college that can still learn from the path that you took, because it's still a lesson that may be parallel in some aspect. So I think that you would be an awesome example, when you're ready.
Yeah.
But also,
I mean, it is something that piques my interest. It's not nothing that I'll immediately be like, nah, I ain't fucking doing that. But I would be open to doing something like that in a controlled environment. And and I have a friend now who I pour into a lot, who I've as a carpenter, as a man, like, I've poured into a lot, and he's my protege, and I give him a lot of the lessons that I've learned, and I can see it helping him a little bit. He's told me that, like, I learn a lot from you and the stuff that you say, so that feels good. And I could just imagine, talking to a group of kids or a group of guys and them feeling the same way. Like, that would feel amazing.
Act 2, the mentors.
The mentors? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. What have you learned?
Did you know?
Oh, before we go to what we learned, let's just try to, and I haven't been the best dad in my fatherhood. I'm trying to be now, But it's boys out here growing up without their dads. Like, we need our dads. It's a tough ride. We need our pops. We need somebody there to guide us through, to ask us how we feel about this, to ask us what's going on in our head before we hold it in, don't be vulnerable, and it comes out a different way. So we need our pops. Damn, we need our pops. And if you got sons out there, like, they need you. 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, all that in between, we need you. I needed my pop. I had friends that needed their pops. And it was a tough road. It wasn't until I was 26 years old that it stopped bothering me about my dad. And that's a long time from when you were a little boy. That's a lot of years to deal with that. And it wasn't until I was around 26, 27 years old where it was like, okay, I kind of got the hang of this. I think I'm making good decisions. Like, I'm trying really hard, but that's when it stopped bothering me. And who knows, it's people who it still bothers them to the day. It's people who went till 35 and it bothers them. Like, so just to put that out there, like, we need our dads as sons. We need y'all. So you got sons out there, reach out to them if you can. Guide them, mentor them, give them the game that our generation can pour into them. What have you learned?
Did you know broccoli was not
Jesus.
real?
Yeah, baby. Who doesn't know broccoli's man-made?
Well, a lot of people may not know that.
Yes, broccoli doesn't grow out the ground. They make broccoli.
Yes. Well, now it grows out the ground, but it wasn't originally. It was domesticated from wild cabbage so that it was more palatable to humans. But it is. I don't want to say it's not real. It's not a naturally grown
Vegetable,
plant.
yeah.
It was created from wild cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower. Now, transparency.
That's why those things are real bad for the digestive system.
In all transparency, broccoli is my absolute favorite vegetable. However, I can't eat broccoli and haven't had broccoli probably for the last, oh my goodness, since 2009. And it was my favorite vegetable. But to your point, it caused so many digestive issues. I wonder if I could now, I wouldn't. And I'll say this, I did read that before, but social media is not reliable, and that's where I saw it. So I did some investigation on my own. That's just that broccoli is not a naturally grown food. Like, so you think about it, like, people 200 years ago, they ain't know nothing about broccoli.
No, babe, I knew that. Like, yeah, we've been together forever. So yeah, I've known that for a while.
So did Nana eat broccoli?
No. Nana didn't eat broccoli. Nana ate greens, corn. What other vegetables did she eat? That's probably string beans. Yeah, she ate greens, corn, beans, cabbage, yams.
Yams not, but yeah.
Okay. But yeah, she didn't eat broccoli.
Spinach.
She ate spinach sometime.
But no broccoli.
No broccoli.
Did she eat peas?
No peas. No okra. No artichokes. None of that kind of shit. Just regular black people vegetables.
What did you learn?
I learned God did. And that's not because of DJ Khaled. It's just because I like the slogan. I like the hashtag. I like the way God has worked in my life. He's shown his self in my life on plenty of different levels on many occasions. And I'm just extremely happy with my life. I'm just extremely happy with what I'm doing, how I'm learning myself, how I'm healing. I love therapy. And I love doing this show. And I just like how God changed my life since 2020 till now. It's like a super duper duper blessing. And I can't be thankful enough. And he gets all the credit. So if people wonder, how did he do that or what's going on with him? God did. 3 grams.
That was awesome. Okay, I guess I didn't correlate. What did you learn? Did you just learn that God did it?
Yep.
Oh, wow. That's even a bigger blessing. Okay. I was with you. And I'll say this. I love the fact, it makes me emotional. We talked about this.
Rock.
And so now, everything used to make me emotional before. I got more stiff, but it makes me emotional to see God being penetrated through current culture. Like it takes me back to when Jesus Walks came out. Like they was playing Jesus Walks in the club, and at that time, I probably didn't take it in the way I can now. It was just like, all right, this is a dope song. People singing Jesus Walks. It was kind of funny, like everybody singing Jesus Walks, but the significance of it, right? The significance of it, and hearing this song, and I know I believe DJ Khaled, he's not of the Christian faith, but it doesn't matter because the song isn't stating, it's saying God did. And that, it makes me feel like, yes, God, yes, I know you coming back soon to clear up all this foolishness that's going on, God. All right, I know this is not church, but it just makes me feel good.
Yeah, it's not.
Yes.
3 grams. Quick question. What, if you had to pick today, what charity or cause would you be passionate about?
Oh, probably. Do I have to name a specific one or like the type?
Just something, yeah.
Probably something that has to do with making sure that kids eat. I just feel like that is like the basic. No child should be hungry. We eat too much. We waste too much. So it would be something in that vein to make sure that kids eat.
Mine would be something to see that abused women can get out of their situations faster. Like if you abuse women, you got kids, or not an abused woman, just period, and your man beating on you, I would want to make it easier for you to leave and have resources than not.
Okay.
Then it takes people so long, people end up getting hurt, getting killed because you couldn't leave 6 months ago, and you done took 15 ass whoopings when you didn't have to.
That's admirable of you.
2nd gram.
But so what was that related to the gram? That was
just one of the grams. It was a question.
Okay, I didn't. Okay, so that was the question. What would be the charity?
Stop stopping and trying to look into everything all the time. You always want to relate, and everything ain't relatable. It's just a question.
Carry on.
The New Jersey art teacher with the smoking hot body. She in Pennsauken Township.
Really?
Yeah, they won't even say what school or give her name.
Wow. Well, did you look at her page?
No, but I'm gonna look. But I'm gonna know her name now. But I looked and said Pennsauken Township. I'm thinking, what the damn school is she in?
We used to live in that.
Looking like that.
We used to live in that area. So this is my thing, right? With her, I don't think anybody should be condemned for their body.
I know what I'm gonna draw. That's what he said.
What I do think, and I think this is probably, I don't know, I feel kind of torn about it because
they'll be like, why your son keep drawing donkeys? I draw a jackass every time I go to class.
Her personal page is public, and it's very, I'm gonna say sexualized. Not in the sense like she ain't doing no porn or nothing, but her body is her body. And she's a teacher.
That's what we always been told. Black women can't help it.
Well, she's not black. She's Spanish.
Latino women can't help it either.
And I'm not sure if it's natural, but it doesn't matter. It's her body. But I'm just saying. I wonder if for me, like I limit my viewing of my social media to just the people that I know because I thought about my professional life and I ain't on there busting nothing open. Like it ain't even that type of party. But just because I feel like it should be a boundary. And I wonder if for her, it's more than just, okay, you come to work looking like this, but is it that boundary? But see, I do know that jobs have to play a very fine line about what people can and can't wear because bodies are created different. The job
is not saying anything about this. Yeah. The parents are.
Right.
So question to you, we got little Jamal. He 10 years old. He come home or you take him to art class and you see his teacher and he is super excited to be there. Is it a problem for you?
No.
That his teacher looks like that?
No, because the pictures that I have seen of her, regardless of what her body looks like,
she's dressed,
she's
right?
fully clothed. It ain't like she got something low cut or short. She is fully clothed. She just can't hide her body.
She had on pants and a belt and a shirt and everything.
Yeah, so for me, and again, that's why I say the job can't say anything because she and Miss Martha can have on the same exact outfit. You can't tell her she can't wear that outfit because of what her body looks like, just because it don't look like that on Miss Martha. Mm-hmm. So I can say in that respect, she's not dressed inappropriately in the school pictures that I seen of her. So I wouldn't have a problem with her. Her body is her body, you know. But I'm sorry, but I will say for little girls though.
I was ready to say, let me get it out.
Okay.
Girl, you got your daughter at school, buff ass teacher busting out his tank top.
No, I wasn't about to say that, but no, I mean, again, I wouldn't care what his body looks like as long as he's covered. Like my daughter you shouldn't have your shirt buttoned down to here and she's seeing your chest hair and, you know, she don't know why.
Well, what if none of his shirts fit because he like fucking this?
Then he needs to buy a bigger shirt. But what I was going to say for little girls, and not that, you know, they wouldn't see it elsewhere. I wonder what is the thought or what's the impression that she makes on little girls, because, you know, her clothes are fitted, you know, a t-shirt and jeans is fitted, and it's like, is that, I mean, it's not inappropriate, but is it the best choice?
It's a double standard. No, you're teaching the girls that you can't do nothing about your body. If you have a daughter who's 10 years old with a little butt on her, you're going to teach her, that's your butt. There's nothing you can do about that. Don't be ashamed about that. You're going to dress her like you're supposed to, but you can't have both. So if you got this lady here who's like that, then to the little girl, it can't mean something wrong. It's just that's her body.
Well, so I mean, I feel like if I did have a daughter, like and maybe this is me being 41 and thinking differently. When we were kids, we could not wear tights if the shirt did not come beyond our butt.
Okay.
That was just what the rule was. So I think I would feel the same way about my child, because this world is what the world is. So I don't know if that's the kind of rule that should be. I mean, do you tell all the teachers like your shirts have to cover your butt? I don't know. Just like if you wear a button-down shirt and a nice pair of pants,
she can't tuck her shirts in.
That's what I was going to say. Can you not tuck your shirts in? So it creates a double standard, but I will say this, it's the parents' responsibility. You have to pour into your children and not allow the teachers to be their only, means of self-esteem or self-love or learning about themselves. So.
And this is another thing that I don't like. Now, I don't have a problem with the situation at all. Her body, and she's an art teacher, whatever. She went to art school. She got a degree.
She's an awesome artist.
Yeah, that's fine. Great. I wish I had an art woman who looked like that when I was small. I would have got an A in art. But when you're, I lost my train of thought. What was
because you was thinking about her ass.
No, damn, I lost my train of thought.
You said you don't have a problem with what she looks like.
Oh, what I do have a problem with is there was kids in the class taking pictures of her. Now, I think like that's because kids got phones and they see her body. So a lot of people was taking pictures and showing their parents.
Well, she's a kindergarten teacher.
Yes, people have phones, babe. It said in the report that there was kids in class taking pictures of her.
Oh, I didn't.
So maybe we're talking about affluent kids. I don't know, but they had phones at 5 years old.
Wow. Okay. I mean, but we gotta think too. Were they taking pictures of her ass? Were they taking pictures because they think she's beautiful? Were they taking pictures because this their favorite teacher?
They're not taking pictures of Miss Martha down the hall with the glasses on her nose with the mole. They're not taking pictures of her, but they're taking pictures of the art teacher, Miss Roxy. Last Gram, they asked Chris Rock to host the Oscars again next year.
Did he say no?
Yeah, he said no.
Okay, good.
But can you believe, like, white people?
Yeah, I can.
They trying to make a mockery and a spectacle of him.
Exactly.
He gonna have to get up there and make all kinds of jokes about him getting slapped last year, and they think like you can see the angle. That'll be ratings.
I was about to say, like, anything for ratings. Anything for ratings. And not only that, I would be so upset.
Not gonna let the man get slapped, make him finish the goddamn show, and then ask him to come back next year.
But how much of a disregard for his feelings is that? If he, all of this, oh my God, it's so traumatizing, and if y'all really thought like that when it happened, and y'all were in tears about you couldn't believe that someone would be so barbaric to do this. Now you disregard the victim's feelings, even though he said he does not want to be labeled as a victim.
And why did you just blame him? Why?
Well, because that's how they viewed him when it happened.
Oh.
So at that time, he was a victim, and now y'all want to use him as the victor to pull in your ratings. You can't have it both ways. I'm happy he said no.
I can't believe there's nobody there to say, "Hey, man, I don't think we should ask him this."
No, I think we should not ever talk about this again.
I don't think we should ask him this. Like, he will deny this, which I'm super glad he did.
And I feel like they're going to do something like, I'm just envisioning them having like a border around the host as in a mocking way to be like, let's make sure no one, like they're not going to let it go. They're going to try to draw on that for ratings. And it's a slap in the face, pun intended.
That was right on time, babe. Act 2 the podcast wrapping up, episode 86. That was a good one. That was right on the money. She ain't never been that much on. Your boy International Walk.
Your girl Taj, the co-hostess with the mostest.
You guys look us up on act2thepodcast.com, Facebook, Instagram, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Radio Public, TikTok, Breaker, Spotify, Anchor, and Twitter. Look us up on all those platforms. You can find our faces somewhere. You can find episodes somewhere. You can check us out somewhere. So if you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, God damn it, you should. Peace.